Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Monday. It is Monday. It's a new day. It's a new week. It's March. It's the first week of March. It's the first Monday of March. So let's get excited. Yay! I know spring is almost here. I'm not gonna lie, it's been cold this winter where I'm at, and it's unusual. It's kind of funny though, just a story. It's funny when people don't live in California, they forget how long we are. We're a very tall state. There's a lot of states could fit in our state, and it's like we're just tall. And I had somebody that I know, a friend of mine, from social media, that lives in the UK, saying, wow, he's like, I can't believe it's snowing in California. It's like, it snows in California. It may not snow where I'm at, but we have mountains, and it snows in the mountains. And it snows up north where the Sierra Nevadas are, up in Northern California. So Northern California and Southern California differ. They differ in the weather because Northern California, obviously, you're heading up towards the Pacific Northwest, which is Oregon and Washington. So, you're going to get more, I think you're going to get the cooler weather and whatnot. We're down here, it's just warm. But this winter has been a little bit chilly. So, I thought I was going to go back to basics for where I started when the show used to be the Daily Vibe. And that's a story in itself on why I changed my name. But I like the new name, and it suits, it fits. It's really my perspective on things, and on just different topics and whatnot. And when I first started out, I had this deck of quotes. And I loved the quotes because it's like I would read it and then I'd be a little relatable to it. And then somehow it got into, well, I need to get on my soapbox. And then I went through my whole healing phase for quite some time, and I shared a lot of that with it. But that was me going through the healing process. Now I'm past the healing process. I'm in a place now where I am trying to find my footing, where I am trying to find, my purpose and my place. And I don't think we're ever too old to find our purpose. I don't think we're ever too old to find our place. We are where we are. But I think I'm going to go back in that direction for a little while, because I don't want people to get lost on, I don't want people to get lost when I say the word oracle or whatnot, because it's not about where the message is coming from. It's about the message itself. So I'm going to go back to the decks for a little while, and I don't know how long. It could be for a couple days, could be for a while, but there was so much that came out of that. So much, not just knowledge, but understanding, and kind of the questions that ask us to dig deep so we can find that inner healing. And, now that I'm through this healing process, I want to help other people through theirs, because I know how ugly it can get. I know how scary it can be. In fact, I think one of the topics this week, my friend posted something very interesting about, nobody tells you how much rage and anger is going to come out of this healing process. And it is, because you're literally going in and digging up stuff that you buried. But the reason we're digging it up is so we can heal it and move forward, go in love, right? But you can't go in love if you're constantly thinking or being held back by these old things that are kind of becoming anchors. They're becoming so weighted down that they're starting to hold you back. And you can feel it sometimes. The worst feeling I had this morning, and I mean, or not this morning, but in the last couple of days since the last show, on Friday, I'm doing this one book, and it's kind of, I want to say it's a self-help book, but it's not a self-help book, if that makes any sense. It's just kind of teaching you how to kind of ramp up your frequency, ramp up the joy and the gratitude. And so, it's that kind of book. But they do what they call party games. And then they have like a hashtag of the book's name, and then they want you to share the selfie to social media to show this, that, or the other. And it says, what does your joy look like? And then it asked another question in the regular thing that says, what was one of your biggest joyful moments? And I'm telling you, I couldn't think of anything. I tried. And then, I talked to older sibling about it, and I realized, I said, I said, my joy has always come with the waiting for the other shoe to drop kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm sitting here in this happiness. I'm sitting here in this bliss and this moment of excitement and joy. But, you know, what's going to cause it to fall apart? And then we fall apart. And so we never truly experience, I'm not saying we, when I say we, I mean for those who understand where I'm coming from, who have that relatable experience where, you know, no matter all these wonderful things that you can think of, it's hard to find that one place where there's been absolute joy, where you haven't been worrying about something else. And that's what I want to experience. I want to experience joy without worry. And that took a long way to get there, didn't it? But anyways, let's start with the universe has your back. So, just to preface this, you know, whoever you turn your higher power to, whether it's God, a bunch of gods, goddesses, the universe, maybe all of them, all of the above, whichever. Just whatever it, you know, just replace whatever this says, like universe, with your higher power. Okay. So, you know, just let's go with that. But I also have the Beyond Lemuria deck, and Lemuria is a place kind of like Atlantis. All right. And you're thinking, good Lord, where is this woman going? But stick with me. Lemuria is, so Atlantis was very, you know, whether you believe it's real or not, and some places are beginning to find out that it might have actually been real, that, you know, and it could very well be a cautionary tale, because if Atlantis truly was as advanced as people think it was, they destroyed themselves. And if we are not careful, we're going to do the same thing. We're kind of like everything resets, and then, you know, the world heals up a bit, and then, you know, we start all over again. And do we really want to do that? No. So let's take care of this planet, please. That's my soapbox for the moment. But Lemuria was kind of the opposite of Atlantis. It was like kind of like their sister city of sorts. But it was the more where you have the, you know, where you have the straight-laced person. They're kind of the flower children of Atlantis, you know, but they were their own little place. You know, they were the place where, you know, everybody can live in peace, live in love, live in joy. And, you know, they didn't, I don't know, there was just not a lot of worry, right? So they, you know, where in Atlantis you have joy with worry, over in Lemuria they just have joy with bliss. Okay, so I mean that's my guess. Never been there, never lived there, but when you follow a certain belief pattern, there is a lot of stuff that refers back to it. So the universe has your back, your higher power. In any moment, I can surrender to the powerful. I cannot read today. In any moment, I can surrender to the powerful presence of love through prayer, contemplation, and stillness. So again, in any moment, I can surrender to the powerful presence of love through prayer, contemplation, and stillness. Now, if you're saying, well, Shelley Marie, you said something about the universe. Well, you can pray. You know, I mean, no matter what you believe in, you can pray. It's also referred to as setting an intention or setting a manifestation. So, you know, but in any moment, you can surrender to the powerful presence of love. And just put out your intention, your manifestation, your prayer. Friday was just, I mean, I think I was just outside of my mind all of Friday. I don't know. I think January and February were so difficult to get through. You know, there was a lot of illness. There was a lot of trying to get better. There was, you know, people having procedures and needing to take care of them. And it's just, it got to the point, and I mean, even a lot of emotional stuff. It just got to the point where it's kind of like, I cannot anymore. And I fell apart. March 1st, I broke. I split into a million pieces. I really wanted that day to be my day where I just didn't do anything and really tried to give myself some self-care and replenish the energy that I had lost and just kind of get my mind back in order. And I'm telling you, the whole day was like an out-of-body experience. I could not recover from the morning. But there was something I noticed towards the end of the day when I started journaling, and I thought, you know what? Through that whole time that I was outside my mind, all I kept doing was trying to gratitude it better, praying to make it better, trying to manifest something better. And I thought, that is not something I've ever done before. In which case I thought, yeah, I was outside my head that whole day and really kind of just, well, not even overthinking. It just got to the point where I was completely anxiety overwhelmed. But I realized, hey, that's growth. Because I wasn't just trying to sit in the anger. I was trying to move out of it. And it took a while. By, I would say towards the late afternoon, I started to just kind of mellow. But you know, when we stop and we surrender to love, when we surrender to, you know, not needing to be angry about something, when we realize, can I do anything about it? No. Can I go back in time and fix it? No. So why am I letting it still bother me? Move through the pain, move through the anger, and, you know, try not to take it out on anybody else. Do your best to not take it out on anybody else because they don't deserve it. And just kind of try to find your way back into your body so you stop having that out-of-body experience. Oh, here's another one. Wow, that's interesting. This one is, in any moment I can surrender to the powerful presence of love. This one is, I surrender to a power greater than me. So it looks like, kids, our Sesame Street word of the day is surrender. Now, you may be thinking of surrender as being kind of like you give up. Well, you're not giving up. What you're doing is you're surrendering to something bigger than you are. Again, we go back to the anger, the out-of-body, feeling like you're having that out-of-body experience, just like you're outside your body. And you're just looking and going, wow, how do I stop this? You have to surrender to it. Now, you might be thinking, why would I want to surrender to the anger? You're not giving in to the anger. If you give in to the anger, that means that you are shooting your shit in every direction. You are going to take it out on everybody and anybody because you just feel like knocking everybody else down to feel as small as you do. Now, in my perspective, when you surrender to that anger, you're saying, okay, why am I angry? What can I do to fix this without, you know, bringing everybody else down with me? Do I need to sit in a quiet room? Do I need to journal? Do I just need to sit in front of a, you know, maybe put on your favorite show? You know, there are times when I'm in such a bad place, I can't even watch comedies because for some reason they just make me angry. Or like, yeah, well, why are you trying to force me to laugh? I know, it's weird. So I'll just put on something weird, you know, like something where I don't have to think. You know, I don't have to laugh. I don't have to feel like someone's trying to cheer me up. I can just sit with the feeling and move through it. And that to me, in my process of healing, has been what surrendering is. It's surrendering to this dark place, right? I read to you out of my journal on Thursday about how, you know, we surrender, or how we kind of embrace those shadows, that shame, that guilt, that anger, whatever, and we give it a place to share its woes, and then we move forward in love. We let it go in love. We say, okay, bye. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for the lesson. Thanks for the teachable moment. Be on your way now. So, and you want it to be on its way. When you're surrendering to something because you want to heal it, you don't want to sit in it so long that you give it a home. Give it a safe space. Give it some time. But don't give it a home. Let it keep moving forward. Move out of it. Sometimes we hold on to anger because that's all we know. Sometimes we hold on to that anger because it's comfortable. You know, it might be, sorry guys, I don't know why my nose is running today, but sometimes it just feels comfortable and it's what we know. So we stick in those bad feelings, right? And because we don't think we deserve the good feelings, but you do deserve the good feelings. And the way to get there is to surrender to whatever it is that is just gnawing at you, and look it in the face and say, okay, how can I make this better? How can I heal this? How can I fix myself? What needs to be fixed inside of me to move this forward? All right. So the next one. Oh my God, it's another surrender card. The moment I embrace my peace within and surrender the outcome is the moment that the universe can truly get to work. I am fudge. Holy fraggles. Oh my God. This is crazy. If the next card... Oh, okay. The next card doesn't have surrender in it, but the first three did. It's a sign. It's a sign. Whatever it is you are going through, surrender to it and figure out what needs to be done to fix it and move it forward. Okay? Just let it go. Let it go, because it is not serving you. It is not doing you any good. All right. So the moment I embrace my peace within and surrender the outcome is the moment that the universe can truly get to work. Again, you have to find that peace within to be able to surrender to that outcome. We don't know what the outcome is, but if you don't surrender to it, it's probably not going to end up well, or it's going to take forever to get to you because you're trying to control the situation. This is about trying to control things. We have to surrender to whatever it is that we feel is holding us back, to that fear, to that anger, to whatever negative emotion it is. And like I said, surrendering in the terms of healing is not giving up. It's about, self-preservation in a way, right? When people throw the white flag up, that's because they don't want to die. Well, what you're doing is you are looking at whatever it is in the face and saying, I am brave enough to surrender to this and figure out what I need to do to heal it, to figure out what I need to do to move forward with this and go in love. And, like I said, when it comes to healing, that's a big part of what surrender is. It's about trying to not control everything like we always try to. Those of us who are in a healing situation, especially from trauma, when you hold the trauma in so long, and this has been my experience, it may not be everybody else's, but I have noticed similarities in other people that have been through the healing process as I have, and some of the people I know now that are going through the healing process, and I see their journey, and I see them posting about their journey, and it's like, whoa, I remember being there. And it's like, is this what it looks like from the outside? Because I have been there, right? It's like those car washes. I don't know if they still exist, but when you could watch your car go through, right? And you're watching it, and, each car is different. I mean, you might have tall ones, you might have short ones, you might have really short ones, but you're watching each car. Each car is different, just like every journey is different, and as we're watching it move through, we're like, wow, this is kind of fun. This is kind of fascinating. But some people may have those antennas still, and it might get bent back, or, and then you see it fling forward, and it's the journey. It's the journey. All journeys look different, but there are similarities in every journey. And there are things that, are going to intertwine with other people's healing journeys where they're going to say, whoa, I've been there. How can I help you? So when we surrender the outcome, that's the moment the universe can truly get to work. So when you surrender control and you realize that, you have to let something in, you have to start trusting. Trusting is a big one, right? That's when the universe or your higher power can get to work on giving you what it is you want. Oneness is my true nature. Oneness is my true nature. When you learn how to surrender, dun, 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 oneness is your true nature. And when they say oneness, I think in my interpretation, because, like I said, my healing journey, because everything I was healing, it happened to me so young that there's a lot of things I'm learning and really kind of grasping for the first time. And I know it seems silly because a lot of you who watch this, show regularly are fully aware of my age. And it's kind of like, you're only learning that now? Yeah, believe it or not. There are certain things that are just kind of like, that leave me in awe. And the less I try to control certain things in my life and just kind of learn to go with the flow, the more I think I'm becoming or coming into my oneness, coming into what I know I need, what I know, just trusting and believing. And what we want is for that oneness to be our true nature. Now, you may interpret this completely differently, but, I'm kind of stumbling over this one because I'm not really sure what oneness is, and I think that's something that I'm learning. I think it's something that I'm moving forward in. So there's that. Now let's get to the Lemuria deck. I love this. It came in one of my old goddess boxes. It's like I get them every so often, and sometimes I just stop because they tend to repeat themselves after a while, right? When you get those subscription boxes. But there were some really good cards that came through. I think tomorrow I'll use the Isis Oracle deck, the Egyptian goddess. So yeah, and she's very prominent in my life. So, Oh, there's a couple that came out. So you know what? There's a few that came out, but I'm going to do the other two over the next couple of days, you know, so these don't end up being like epically long, like the people pleasing. And just so you know, when I say that, you know, I started doing shows regarding what I thought people wanted to hear. When I said that, it's like, it's not that I don't care about those subjects. I do. That's why I moved into them. But I was moving out of what I wanted to represent through the show. And I was moving into trying to be, I don't know, I don't think controversial would be the word. Because there are some times when I get on my soapbox and I'm very, very, well, every time I get on my soapbox, it's something I'm very, very passionate about. Very passionate about. And I think that I want to share it. But then I get this thing up in my head that says, oh, well, you know what? We just need to report on all these things. There's enough people reporting on what's happening in the world. There are enough TV shows reporting on what's happening in this world. I just want to put that love and light out there. I get questioned for it. I get questioned for some of the things that I turn my focus to, some of the things that I believe, you know, require humanitarian efforts. And I get, you know, I get a little raked over the coals, or people trying to educate me. You cannot educate someone with your opinion, because your opinion is your opinion. When it's fact-based, okay. It's hard to argue with the facts. But when it's an opinion, you're not educating anyone. You're just simply trying to get someone to feel the same way you do because you want everybody on your side. But that's not how the world works. So I just try to put that love and light out there. I just try to put that positivity out there because I don't think we have enough of that. Okay, I really don't think we have enough of that going on in this world. So wherever I can do that, I'm going to do it. And I'm probably going to get flack for it. I'm probably going to have people give me the what for it. There are going to be people who think they're, you know, enlightened, who are going to throw stones in my direction. And at this point, I don't care. I don't care, because this is what my show is about. My show is trying to help people through their feeling. You know, there's a meme that I have. This is, I'm going to spend the rest of my life helping people feel less broken, because I felt broken. But you have to break in order to put yourself back together. You know, like the oh, I forgot what the name of the Japanese art is, but when something breaks, they mend it with gold to show that, you know, those cracks are what make us beautiful. Those scars are what make us beautiful. And, you know, sometimes we look at things and we look at them so broadly that it's hard to see that, you know, in all this pain has grown something so beautiful. Remember the lotus flower, okay? Always think about the lotus flower. The lotus flower is a beautiful plant that grows from the darkness. It grows in the mud, in the muck, and then it comes up and it blooms and blossoms into something absolutely beautiful. And I think that's why a lot of people use it as a symbol. I think that's why a lot of people, you know, probably get tattoos of it, because they felt like they've come out of the darkness. They feel like they pushed their way. You know, we always use the example of the butterfly pushing out of the cocoon. And if you help that butterfly out, if you see that butterfly struggling, that butterfly is not going to be able to really fly well. You could actually hurt a butterfly trying to help it out of the cocoon, because when it's pushing out of the cocoon, it's pushing everything into place where it needs to be to make it stronger, to show it that it can fly. When you help it out, everything that needs to be put into place may not be put into place. So it's squeezing out for a reason. But we forget about the lotus flower. We forget about how it too is coming out of this darkness. You know, it's growing in this place. It's becoming this beautiful thing in this dark, dark place, and then pushing up and blooming and just sitting there in its absolute beauty. And I think that's where we all are. You know, no matter what people say about you, no matter what you think you see in the mirror, every human being has a beautiful quality to them. Every human being is beautiful. And, you know, but we're so focused on the outside that sometimes we miss the inside. And yeah, there are ugly people in this world. They may be beautiful on the outside, you know, to whatever degree. But they may be absolutely horrible on the inside. You know, so there's that too. I mean, when I say that there are beautiful people in this world, I try my best to see the best in everybody And it ain't easy. Not in this world. Not with some of the people in this world either, which, at some point, even I'm human and give up and be like, oh. But somebody always sees something. But if we stopped looking at each other with so much hate and stopped comparing our differences and started comparing our similarities, we'd probably be in a much better state as an entire planet than we are now. But we spend so much time comparing the negative stuff, just pointing out the negative stuff, that we miss the beauty in people. It's like I said about that one project where two women sat down, completely polar opposite politics, weren't allowed to talk about politics, period. That was off the board. But they found out that they were so similar in so many ways, and they would have never known that because each other's politics offended one another. And so what do we miss? Like I said, there's enough people putting stuff out there, to make the points, to make the facts, to do this, that, and the other. So my job is, my purpose in this world is to put that love and light back into the world, to kind of fill in those gaps, to be the gold, right? And I'm one of a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there doing the same thing. I'm one of millions, but all our messages is all, as a collective, our message is all the same. To spread love and light, to spread that positivity, to spread that healing in other people so that they can do the same. Right? So, that being said, loving compassion. Bring more love to a situation, whether it is toward yourself or someone connected to the question. Okay, well, these are obviously oracle cards, but if you had a question, bring more love to it. There may be a need for forgiveness or for seeing things from a fresh, more expansive perspective. Remember, you are loved and have unlimited access to the gentle yet transformational force of loving compassion as when you need it. To bring yourself back into your heart, think about those you love and the moments with them where you have felt joy. Expand this feeling out to more and more people, creatures, and places until the whole planet is infused with this beautiful, warm, and loving feeling. See? I had no idea. I just read the title, and it's been a long time since I've looked at this deck. And there's a lot of cards I still haven't seen yet, because I'm one of those people that when I get a deck, I just shuffle, and then I just, let it come out until, I've seen them all. And I haven't seen all of these. So, again, bring more love to a situation, whether it is toward yourself or someone connected to the question at hand. There may be a need for forgiveness or for seeing things from a fresh, more expansive perspective. Remember, you are loved and have unlimited access to the gentle yet transformational force of loving compassion as and when you need it. To bring yourself back into your heart, think about those you love and moments with them where you have felt joy. Expand this feeling out to more and more people, creatures, and places until the whole planet is infused with this beautiful, warm, and loving feeling. I will say this. There is one thing that brings me joy. I mean, pure joy with, typically without worry. Every so often I worry, but, about it, but mostly just like, oh, and that's my cat Pixel. And, I think of her and I think of her story and I think how, she's a disabled cat now because she was attacked by a coyote and almost died, literally almost died. Then she sat in a shelter for 2 years. And, when Sibling and I went to pick her up, oh, she fought, like cranky, yelling, blah, blah, blah. The next day she was a lap cat, like legit a lap cat. That night she stayed with Sibling in her room. And it wasn't until I brought her downstairs, like a couple weeks later, because, she wouldn't come downstairs. She would kind of peek, and then she'd run back upstairs. So, but for the most part, she ruled the upper floor. But yeah, she would come downstairs to eat, and then, she would just go back upstairs and just hang out, with the other cat. And at the time there were 3. Actually, at the time there were 4, but now we're down to 2. So the other 2 passed away, my babies. But I see how much love there is in her. And she can get cranky from time to time, and I think it's because when she sits too long, because of her disability, it might, how like when you kind of tense up, especially, I mean, I've had arthritis in my left knee for forever and ever. So, or my right knee, I should say, because of an injury, a beach injury from years ago when I was a teenager. But I know sometimes you get stiff, right? And so there's something about her though that just, it brings so much joy to me. Like the way she'll just kind of look, or when I come home after being gone for a while and, I walk in the door and it's like, come here. And she just like, and she just gives her, and she doesn't talk a lot, but she'll get excited and she'll just come running up to me. And there's a pure joy in that, because it's that pure love you're getting from something, from a creature, right? It's not a human, but sees you and loves you. And, she was so willing to be loved that literally when, that first night that she was with us, I came out of my room and I walked into older sibling's room and she was laying right on the pillow with older sibling. And I thought, this is a cat who is grateful. And, oh, good morning, older sibling and baby sibling. Wow, they both popped on at the same time. That's kind of freaky. But yeah, they, and so I think for me, I guess that is a joy. But also, it teaches us what the first 3 cards taught us. I mean, I found it interesting that 4 cards flew out of the deck and 3 of them had surrender in it. And a lot of times we don't want to surrender because we feel like we have to control every situation. We feel like if we lose control, everything's going to go haywire. Everything's going to go, crazy. But what happens when we try to control a situation? What happens when we try to fix a situation? When we try to get ahead of it before, we think it falls apart? When we try to get ahead of it, we're going to miss the lesson, because it's like you're jumping from, it's like being on a track, right, with a bunch of hurdles, and you're trying to hurdle all the hurdles at once. Not one at a time, but all at once. Well, each hurdle is an obstacle. Each hurdle is that lesson. And that lesson is, oh my gosh, I made it over this one. Maybe I can make it over the next one. And yeah, sometimes you might knock one over. But that's okay, because you go back and you figure it out. And, maybe the next time when you're in that race again and you're running over these obstacles, you may not hit any obstacle. You may just clear it with no problem, soaring over each one. But don't look at that knocked over obstacle as being anything more than a teachable moment. That's where the loving compassion comes in. When we, there may be a need for forgiveness or for seeing things from a fresh, more expansive perspective. What are we missing that continues to make the situation happen over and over and over again? When we're in a healing process, things are going to come up continually. You may heal one feeling and another one may pop up and you're like, crap, I'm right at the beginning again. But you're not at the beginning, because this time, because you've been through something which may have been a completely different feeling, you're taking the lesson from that feeling and you're applying it to this new feeling. This new intense feeling that you may have of like, great. And you're like, but wait, I have these tools. My therapist reminds me of that all the time. She's all, Shelly Marie, do you ever stop and think about how many tools you actually have and utilize? And I tell her, no, I don't. It's like, because now they come sometimes, I can't say all the time, but they start to come naturally to me. And when I say not all the time, it's because sometimes I have to hit a certain point before I realize, wait a minute, what if I stop and try this? It was like that whole time, this last month and a half, when I told you I had been off my meds because of a mix-up in my insurance. I hadn't been on my antidepressant. I hadn't been on my thyroid med. So these 2 very important pills, which kind of take the edge off of me, I hadn't been on. And I thought, what am I going to do? I mean, technically, they're not just for my mental health. My thyroid, your thyroid's very important to your body. Okay, so, but because I have a repaired heart, because I had a congenital, which is a birth defect, it can affect my heart. And so can the stress and anxiety that I get when I'm not on my antidepressant. And so I figured, look, I had family that was worried about me, and they all worry about me because of my heart. My heart is okay. Okay, as far as I know, it's okay. But but I had to come up with something to keep my mind in the right place. So I pulled out 3 different journals. Now I have 4 different ones. One of them I kind of put by the wayside because it's one that I think is good for me when I kind of feel like I'm going to spiral. I decided that it's going to be like a spiral because it's a mindfulness journal. But I also found one, Journey Within, the Journey Within journal, and then my regular journal that I write in every day. And I made a chart with the dates from the day I started to the day I think about 32 days, where I think everything will be remetabolized again back into my body, because I was able to get back on Friday, so yay! But I had to look at it from a place of forgiveness. I had to forgive myself for, for the shaming and the guilt that I made myself feel. It's a chemical imbalance. It's not my fault that, what happens to me happens to me. It's not my fault that there was trauma that, kind of exacerbated the chemical imbalance. But it is up to me to balance all these things. It is up to me to heal all these things. Nobody can do it for me. Nobody can fix me. We can't fix anybody else. We have to let them go through their own things. Just like, we have to let ourselves go through these own things. We can be there for them. We can support them. We can guide them. We can be the shoulder. But they have to, for me personally, we have to be willing to fix ourselves. And so I thought, what can I do? And I pulled out all these things. I made a chart. I wrote it on my calendar, my desk calendar, the plan. That's what I call it. This is the plan until I feel like I'm balanced again. And, really, this is me we're talking about. There's never, ever a full balance, but a Shelley balance. Okay. So, we have to learn how to bring more love to a situation. We have to learn how to bring more compassion to this situation. And that's what this card is, loving compassion. So, and remember, you are loved and have unlimited access to the gentle yet transformational force of loving compassion as and when you need it. It's there. When you learn how to surrender to the anger, to the pain, to the feeling broken, to the feeling cast aside, when you learn how to surrender to that and you realize that you are in charge of your feelings, nobody else, then I think there's a level of love that you find for yourself because you are worthy. I think sometimes when we try to control everything, like I said, it gets away from us. I've been trying to control things my whole life because I felt like I always had to get ahead of something so that nothing bad would happen. Because that's how my brain was, that's how my trauma brain grew up. There was, like I said, in the past, there was this person who had the loving, caring parents and family. And then there was this person who, had this trauma. And they were so separate because this one was a secret, a big, big secret. But holding that secret in kind of left me with that feeling of joy attached to worry and never being able to experience that full joy because you're always worried something bad is going to happen next, right? You're always waiting for that other shoe to drop. Why? And I do that all the time. Why was I always waiting for the other shoe to drop? Because I was so afraid that, somebody would find out my secret. The best thing that ever happened was me kind of falling apart and finally coming out and saying something. A long time too late, but it started the healing process. But the problem is that healing process took a long break. And it took me years, a couple decades to get back to where I needed to be, to heal and to get to the point of healing. When we give ourselves this forgiveness, and when I say give ourselves the forgiveness, what I mean is don't shame yourself for however long you think you took. You're exactly where you're meant to be, and you're right where you're supposed to be. And sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow because there might have been things that we feel passed us by. But I feel for me, I'm in this place now at the age I'm at because I think there are a lot of people my age who feel like healing is just not necessary for them because it's impossible. I'm too old to heal this. I'm too old to heal that. I'm just going to go off living the way I want to live. But why do we want to just exist when we could be living? Why do you want to just survive instead of thrive? Right? We want people to go from surviving to thriving, and surviving is just existing in your life. It's not living. It's just kind of being. And if you're okay with that, I have to be okay with that for you. But I'm not okay with that for me. Because I did hold myself accountable for a lot of opportunities I feel like I missed because I was so stuck in my healing, because I was so lost in so much pain. But now I'm on the other side of it, and it's like, it's amazing. And it's like, wow. You know, and yeah, I'm sad that there might be things that I'll never be able to do in my life. But there's still so much more that is possible. And so I had to forgive myself for shaming myself, for guilting myself, for making myself feel bad. You know, and when you're ready, sometimes you have to forgive the past. Now, it doesn't mean you're letting somebody off the hook. What it means is that you are forgiving the past and saying, you know what? I don't want you to hurt me anymore. I'm not going to let you hurt me anymore. I'm moving forward. Because what's the point? No, there's no point. All right? So, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see everybody back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time, Facebook Live. We got 2 more cards. Not going to tell you which one's going to come up. Well, I'm going to do each one of those over the next 2 days. And, yeah, you know what? Also, if you followed the people pleasing last week, let me know how that went over the weekend, because I found it so interesting that Thursday, the healing card was rejection. And again, I always felt that, you know, fear and rejection is kind of the root of people pleasing, right? We're afraid of being rejected. And so, it gave me a lot to think about over the weekend. Like I said, Friday was like an out of body experience, and poor sibling had to handle me through all of that. And it was not a good day. It was not a good day. But my takeaway from being in the place where I am now and knowing I don't like being that person, my takeaway from that was I tried all day to gratitude and pray my way out of it. And for me, again, that's growth. So there's a lesson in everything. There's a teachable moment in everything. You just have to find the loving compassion for yourself to heal that part of you and to surrender to the flow. You know, again, surrender doesn't mean you're giving up. Surrendering means that you are stopping, looking your fear in the face and saying, look, what do I have to do to make you move on? And go in love. Go in love has been my motto now. It has literally been, it has to be my motto, because otherwise, if I don't, I fall back into old patterns, and I have to create for myself a better habit of looking at things and not expecting the anger, the worry, the pain, the sadness to be attached to it. I'm trying to detach those things. That doesn't mean that those emotions won't still exist in my life. Of course they will. We're human. We are perfectly imperfect. We are going to have good days. We're going to have bad days. But the whole point of life is to outnumber those bad days with the good days. And sometimes it takes a lot of work. And you know what? The work is worth it. The work is worth it. And, you know, I'm glad that I can look at Pixel, my little girl, my fur baby, and I can see in her the joy I feel when I see her. You know, last night as one more story, last night I was laying in bed, and she doesn't normally do this. Usually she just, you know, because she's a little disabled and my bed's a little tall, she has to kind of work up her confidence to get onto the bed. But I was just laying there. I wasn't saying anything. I don't even know if she knew I was awake or asleep. But all I heard was her little meow, meow. And it's the cutest little meow. Because she, like I said, she doesn't do it often. But I felt this feeling of joy and all this love in my heart. And I was just so excited. And then when she got on the bed, we just snuggled. And I realize now that is pure joy. You know, to have this little tiny creature that trusts you so much to take care of it, and, you know, who repays you with their love. And I know a lot of people are like, cats don't get enough credit. You know, yeah, they may be all over the place. They may be very curious. They might want to crawl all over your stuff. And, you know, that's just how they are. They are literally like 2-year-olds. but they're consistently 2. And then they get older, and I think sometimes they attach the worry of, what am I going to do in like a bazillion years when she's gone? Because, you know, we tend to outlive our fur babies and our you know, our little animal babies. We tend to outlive them, and it hurts sometimes. But I'm learning, because I'm not supposed to be worrying for 40 days to build that habit. I'm learning to look at her and just say, you know what? I'm going to enjoy what time I have. I'm going to enjoy today with her. One day at a time, one moment at a time, 1 minute at a time, if you need to, if you're in that place where you do feel like you're outside of your head. All right. So for real this time, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'll be back here tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. For everybody that had problems getting on earlier, I apologize for that. That was my fault. I stopped the video because I didn't think anybody was on, and I restarted it because my brain was just not clicking at that moment. So I do apologize for that Shelly technical issue. And yeah, if you want to see the shorter version of this, where I'll probably just do this card, I always refer to the longer version so that people who want to fill in the gaps can watch it. But I do a short, what I call the drive-through version of the Aloha Perspective on TikTok, where I just kind of cover the card really quick. All right. So again, going back to a little bit of the basics this week on the Aloha Perspective. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and go kick ass this week and on this Monday. Have a great day.